Welcome to Talking Grit.
All right, welcome to Talking Grit. I am Jason Harwood. With me is Jacob Litton. This is our Grit Pick NFL pod. We're going to talk about the playoffs. We're going to talk about the NFC North. But first, Jacob, we already talked about your kidney stones the other episode, so we're going to skip talking about that now. How devastated are you with Michigan football coach? We're not going to talk about the details of the case or anything like that, but how devastated are you about Sharon Moore? Are you excited about the possibilities of John Gruden taking his spot?
Oh, I'm definitely excited about that possibility. No, it sucks. Like, it's a bad look, for the university and everything. Obviously, a lot of serious things going on with him. But it was one of those things. I didn't love the Sharon Moore. I didn't love the hiring anyway. Like, we had Harbaugh, we had like a huge deal, and then he kind of just handed the reins over to him. It was never never a really encouraging, a really great thing. It was always just like, let's hope that, he can just keep the thing afloat. We can keep this going. And for me anyway, it kind of felt right away like, I just don't think he's got it. I just don't think this is it. He's a really good recruiter, but as far as what he offers in terms of coaching, it just didn't seem. And I mean, when he was suspended, we had the interim coach. It seemed like we played better under the interim. So I don't know, what that's about, but yeah, I not hurt that they fired him, but obviously, serious situation. Hope everything is okay there. The timing of it is also weird because now any, hot coaches are already signed on to other teams. We're going to have to start making phone calls and trying to pull people away. I do not want Brian Kelly in Ann Arbor at all.
Oh God, please no.
Right. That's the worst one that I've seen. I like the idea of having Gruden there. Bryce Underwood, hopefully stay along. Gruden, NFL coach, NFL ties.
I mean, Dan Campbell's not doing too much on Saturdays. He could coach both these teams,
He
right?
could make it work.
Yeah, just give him the reins, man. More Dan Campbell press conferences would be awesome. But yeah, I don't know what we're gonna do. I would be encouraged to get someone that could take advantage of Bryce Underwood's arm and maybe develop that a little bit more and just open up the offense. He's going to be a sophomore. He's got a lot more experience under him. I thought Sharon Moore is just way too conservative, especially for us, going and paying $10 million for Underwood, and then we're going to just pay him to hand off all the time, or we need to use his legs a lot more. I thought that could be way more effective. And I'm hoping they hang on to Wink Martindale. I like the way the defense plays. I just want to see more growth offensively. So either we get the play caller, John Gruden would be, an aggressive play caller, or we get the head coach and then we get a really good offensive coordinator that's aggressive.
We'll see.
Yep. All right, man. I want to remind everybody to follow us on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, or on Twitter at Talking Grit Pod. Remember to like and subscribe so that gets our podcast out there for more Lions fans like yourself. Jacob, NFC North, pretty tight at the top there. Why don't you go through how it looks right now?
All right. Right now, Packers are leading the NFC North. They are 9-3-1. Followed by the Bears at 9-4, the Lions at 8-5, and the Vikings hang on at 5-8. Vikings are one loss away from being officially eliminated. Obviously, there's a lot to fight for these other three teams. Packers beat the Bears last week. Upcoming, they're playing at Denver. Then they play at Chicago, home against the Ravens, at the Vikings. So we need to be Broncos fans. We need to be Ravens fans. Kind of depending on what happens with the Bears. Do we, the Packers beat them before. Do we need the Bears to, get theirs back? I mean, Bears obviously lost to the Packers. Upcoming, they're home against the Browns. Then they're home against the Packers, at 49ers. Then they're against the Lions. It's not completely out of the question to say that we could win a division if these games go our way. Right? Yep. That's not completely out. I mean, it's not wild to think that the Packers are not going to be able to beat the Broncos or that the Ravens are going to beat them. I mean, I'm not a believer in the Bears. I know you're not really either. So they could lose the 49ers very well. They could also blow it against the Browns. They could blow it again against the Packers.
I know. The Bears. If you want the division, you need the Bears to win that game. You're hoping that the Packers lose, and then if the Lions win out, then we're going to win the division in that case. If you want, if you're just worried about getting in the dance, and you kind of, you're pseudo Packers fans for a minute, just to beat the Bears, so they, in that game 2 weeks from now. But the Lions also have to take care of business. They got this tough game against the Rams. You can listen to our preview podcast on that. That's the last episode right before this. But Steelers, we talked about it, I think, at the end of that game. We should be able to win. Steelers, Vikings, Bears, we should be able to win those games if we want to be a playoff team. If we want any sort of chance in the playoffs, you can't lose any of those games. I know the Bears have a good record, but we blew them out the last time. We could beat the Bears in their house. I have no worries about that. I know that we could do it. And if we can't, then we don't deserve to be in the playoffs, in my opinion, if you can't beat the Bears.
There you go. I mean, that's 100% right. If we have control of our own destiny, if we don't get it done, then we have only ourselves to blame. What's happened in the past has already happened in the past. It is what it is. I mean, it would go a long way beating the Rams this week, for these other games. But regardless, it's going to come down to that game at Chicago. And yeah, I'm just not a believer in the Bears at all. They've had, it's like they just keep having things go their way. It's never nice to see the Packers win, but it was kind of nice to see the Bears get knocked down a little bit. I'm really going to be pulling hard for Shadur Sanders and the Browns for sure.
That would be, oh my gosh, man. Talk about awesome for us Lions fans, but devastating for the Bears. And they've been there before, right? Where their hopes get built up and then, everything falls apart. And it could easily go that way. I mean, especially if they lose to the Browns, because then they follow up with the Packers and then the 49ers and the Lions. It does not get easier for them. This is the game that they got to win. This would be the
easy game. Yeah, right, yes. Right.
And, you could just see it all raveling apart, being number one in the NFC, right after Thanksgiving, and then all of a sudden to be, they're number 7 seed right now. They could easily fall out of the playoffs. So, Caleb Williams, like I'm telling you, if we just stop him from rolling out right, like that's all he does is roll out right, which is such a bad form all the time because he's eliminating like half the field, and then he'll make that throw. Like I put Hudge on his right side and just like keep him trapped in there, and he's not nearly as dangerous in the pocket as he is when he's rolling out right like that.
Well, I mean, that was the kind of stuff that Ben Johnson was supposed to help clean up, right? They're supposed to be so dynamic on offense and everything. And, it's expected that it's not going to be fixed right away and it's going to take a little bit of time, but I don't know. And, the whole, will he hit 4,000 yards, right? They were like, this is going to be the year. Everyone, like, they pretty much for sure, like, this is going to be the year that he hits 4,000 yards. And as it stands right now, he is at 8.
Yeah.
So he needs
to go
1,092. That means he needs to average 273 yards a game in these 4 games. I don't see that happening.
Yep. I don't want it to come down to the happen. It would happen against the Lions too. Like I don't want it. I don't want that to be, they show the highlights.
That'll be another graphic, like, right? Well, I mean, if it's less than 500, that'll still be the graphic. They're going to be tracking it that he only needs this many yards.
I know. Be it the Matt Flynn game, right, where he threw for like 400,
oh God, right?
Whatever. I don't want to see that, but he's gonna. What's he got? 3 at and all these 3 of the 4 are at home for them, which would be good, but it's also going to be outdoors in December in Chicago, so it may not be conducive for for passing or the receivers catching it.
True. You think home field advantage, but not when you're playing in 10 degrees.
Right. Well, I mean, it might be home field advantage, but it might be. I mean, their run game has been pretty good. They've been leaning on the run, DeAndre Swift, and then how do you pronounce his name? Mungai? Manungai. Yeah, I mean, he's their bruiser. He's the guy that is their battering ram, just runs it up there. It kind of reminds me of like Jamal Williams used to do, just run it up there and he's going to get you, so many yards. Whereas DeAndre Swift is your shiftier back, not going to, he doesn't really, I've seen it. He's not shying away from contact terribly as much as before, but he still will try to go to the outside a lot more than Monongai just decides where he's going to go and just runs full steam right in. That's what
Right.
he does.
Yeah, I mean, to DeAndre Swift's credit, he's only missed one game so far this
Mhm.
year. So
Yeah. Left Detroit and all of a sudden he's healthy. It's that turf, man. We're gonna have to get that turf replaced. Is that it? I mean,
you say
I
all of a
yeah,
sudden as if that wasn't 3 years ago.
yeah, I know. Well, I mean, he was fairly healthy. I mean, with Philadelphia, I mean,
I
more
think
than
he
Detroit. I mean,
last
he
year,
did
I
miss
don't
some games.
man, I'd have to look and see. I feel like last year he might have played in every game.
Yeah, playing outside on that grass has probably been a good thing. All right, so you know, for the Lions, if we want to win the division, Packers got to lose 2 games. We got to gain 2 games on them because they own the tiebreaker for us. So they're going to have to lose uh, two more than what we win. So if we go 4-0, they got to go 2-2. If we go 3-1, they got to go 1-3. So really to have us to have any shot at this, we got to beat the Rams this week and pretty much go undefeated because they do play the Broncos, they do go at the Bears and the Ravens. If the Ravens are fighting for a playoff spot, they could win too. So we'll see how that goes.
So you're saying
All
there's a
right.
chance.
There is a chance. Yes, Jim Carrey. I look at the NFC playoffs. So the Rams are number 1 seed right now. They play obviously Rams Lions this week. The Rams go at Seattle, which is a Thursday night game, then at the Falcons, and then Cardinals. So they ended up the last 2 games pretty easy, pretty easier games on their schedule. However, the first 2, that's tough for them. So if they want to hold on to that number 1 seed, they're going to have to they're going to have to win at least 3 out of those 4 games. But they do play Seattle they have the same record right now. Now, did Seattle beat them earlier in the year or did the Rams win that game? I can't remember.
The Rams won. It
Okay.
was in LA, the Rams won.
So,
and it was really close. 19-21.
Packers are Packers are number 2 seed right now. We just talked about who they got coming up. Eagles are number 3 seed. Someone from the NFC East is going to make it. So it's either the Eagles or it's going to be Dallas. Or be the only 2 teams out of there. If you're a Lions fan, those teams you're not overly worried about because they're probably not going to get wild card spots. Probably just one team for the NFC East is going to make it. The Bucks are playing right now, depending on how that goes. They lost to the Saints last week, so who knows with that. The Panthers could overtake them, but either one of those not really consequential because probably one team's going to make it for the NFC South. The Seahawks are consequential because we could be in a battle for them for a wild card spot. They play the Colts this week, so they're going to be able to take advantage of Phillip Rivers, who might be starting that game, which is a crazy, crazy storyline that I did not expect to happen this year. And then Seahawks, like we said, play the Rams, then at Panthers and 49ers. So Seahawks have a fairly difficult schedule coming up. Obviously, the Colts would be much more difficult had Daniel Jones not got hurt, but 3 out of those 4 games are against possible playoff teams. It's going to be tough.
Yeah,
And
no gimmies there.
What? No
I said no gimmies there. I don't like obviously the Panthers are the weakest of the teams they have left. But the Panthers have showed some fight, so
it's in Carolina and the Panthers are going to be fighting for a division too. I mean, the way the Bucks are playing lately and it's remained to be seen. We're recording this on Thursday Night Football right now. 28-20, but the Falcons just intercepted them, so they might be tying this game up. So that's a tight game. Especially if the Bucks lose this game, the Panthers are definitely right in the playoff hunt.
right.
Oh, number 6 seed is the 49ers. Their schedule, let's see, I think I wrote that down wrong. They play Titans, Colts, and then is it the Bears? Bears for And yeah, Titans, Colts, Bears, Seahawks. So, uh, you know, probably two out of those three are definitely playoff teams. Colts would have been considered a playoff team, but probably not without Daniel Jones. And Texans defense is playing so crazy, and Jaguars are the number one seed in that division right now. Or number one in that division right now. So the Colts are definitely falling back down to earth. And then the number 7 seed are the Bears. And we've already kind of talked about them. So Jacob, are these the 7 that make it in your opinion, or you got them in some sort of different order?
I do think the order is probably going to shuffle around a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think the Bears are going to make it. I mean, obviously, ideally in a perfect world, that's going to be us that takes their spot. And mathematically, maybe these teams are not eliminated, like the Panthers and Buccaneers potentially like could both make it. They would need like the Bears to lose out. They would need us to do really bad. But
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and say that I think the 7 that are going to make it are going to be, the 6 that you have on there, and then we're going to take the spot of the Bears. That's how I think the playoffs going to go. As far as like predicting the seeding and stuff like that, I do think that's going to change up quite a bit. I don't know. The Rams, especially on a short week, the Rams have to go at Seattle. That's going to be a tough game, especially when they're going to be battling it out with us. So, that could be bad news for the Rams. If they lose the game to us, they're battered. They go to Seattle, they lose to Seattle, and then all of a sudden they're dropping down, right? Then we could be above them in the order, and then the Rams are looking at like 6, 7 seed, depending on what happens with the 49ers. So I don't think that there's too many other teams that could sneak in, right? I mean, do you have the same 7, I'm assuming, or what do you think's different?
Yeah, I think the Lions definitely overtake the Bears. I could see, this season's not gone how every time you think you got something figured out, it flips. Like you're like, oh, how did this team lose to that team? Like last week, Saints and Bucks. How did the Bucks lose to the Saints? There's just been those games all this season, but I do think the Lions get in over the Bears. I think it's going to be set up for that last game. The Bears Lions might be moved to Sunday Night Football. So let's move this cold football game to Sunday Night Football. So it's even colder. It's at night in Chicago. And then we got to, just like last year, we got to wait till Sunday night to figure out, the seating and everything like that. It'd be great television, especially the Ben Johnson, Dan Campbell. And then the crazy thing, like last year was, to determine like, okay, the seeding, this could determine getting in the playoffs just in general. Like how crazy would that be? Like one team's in, one team's out. Like at least last year, if we knew if we lost, we were still going to be in the playoffs. This year,
Right.
That could be a lot of pressure. I do think the seeding, like you said, could be all changed because I could see Seattle moving up, but past the Rams, especially if the Rams lose the next 2 weeks, you could see that, and then all of a sudden the Rams move down. There's a lot to do with the seeding, but I think there's really 8 teams vying for playoff spots, in my opinion. The 7 teams that are in right now, and the Lions, and the Panthers could get in, but they're just going to replace the Bucks. So it's whoever wins that division.
The 49ers do play the Bears. So there is a chance that these Niners like lose, drop a game, drop one of these next 2. And then if they lose against Chicago, then they could be on the outside. And it might be one of those situations where 49ers fans are really rooting for the Lions, to try to enable them to get into the playoffs. So,
yeah, it's going to be, like we said, the 49ers start, the next 2 games, Titans and Colts, and at Colts, definitely winnable. But then it's the Bears Seahawks, and those games, could go the other way. And, the seeding will all play in there. I would love to see us not be the 7th seed because then you're guaranteed to be on the road for the whole for everything. It'd be nice to move up a little bit. That way you're not playing you can avoid maybe playing the number 1 seed until the NFC Championship game. But I just want to get in the dance, man.
Right. It's true. But look at this right now. You look at these playoff teams. What team, obviously we're getting ready to take a shot at the Rams here. The Seahawks have been playing pretty good football. Not scared of the Bucks. We've played the Eagles. We played the Packers. I'm still not. There's not a team where it's like, man, if we get there, I just don't think that we'd be able to compete. I don't think they'd be there. I don't think that's the case. I mean, if we get in the playoffs, then we have a shot. That's all we need is a chance.
I agree. I mean, you look at the Bucks, we beat them, and that was when we had like no one in our secondary, right? I mean, Branch didn't even play in that game. Now he's, he won't play in this game, but we missing everybody at our safeties and cornerback spots. Eagles, we played close. I would love to get another shot at the Eagles. I think we definitely build them. And then obviously the Packers beat us twice. It's hard to beat any team 3 times in one season. And we changed our whole rush plan differently after the Packers game, and I'd love to get another shot at them with us to be able to get some pressure on Jordan Love and have him make a mistake. We'll see how we match up with the Rams.
How great would that be, though, to drop both of them, and then all of a sudden then we, get a shot in Green Bay in the playoffs, and then we just spoil their season.
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the way I'd want it to go, right? I mean, if I'm going to win one, I want to win the playoff game.
Right.
That sends the other guy home, and we get to move on.
I mean, there's nothing worse than being like, oh, yep, they're feeling pretty good. They swept the Lions this year. Ha, they finally got the monkey off their back. They're worried if they draw us. Yep. They are worried if they draw us. Despite how the 100%. Games went, they're worried.
It depends on, if the ref's going to call a false start or, be able to actually, judge whether someone catches the ball. Yeah, exactly. I'd love to get another shot at both the Packers and Eagles. Seahawks are tough, but I definitely think they're beatable. If you get some pressure on Darnold, he will make a mistake. He will turn it over. He does fumble a lot. I think they're definitely beatable. They always play us tough. And the 49ers, let's get some revenge. I know we beat them last year, but let's beat them in a meaningful playoff game. That'd be great too. I'll take them on. I'll take on any of those teams.
Right. It's just that anybody's beatable this year, any given Sunday. Mm-hmm. So there's not, there's not like this big bad team that's like, man, they're all going to be tougher games, right? They're all going to be like those 50-50 kind of games when you get to the playoffs like that. But that's to be as expected. It's not going to be, in years past where if the Lions made it to the playoffs magically, you're just hoping like, please, I know the odds are stacked against us. Just please make something crazy happen. It's, that's not the case anymore. I'd go into any of these games feeling semi-confident, 50-50 for all of them. We're capable of winning against any of these teams.
I agree. I would not count us out against any of these teams, and we'll, see what this matchup looks like on Sunday. But if we keep it close, then, I fully expect us to go in there and keep it really competitive. If we pull it out, that'd be great. But if we keep it close, then the Rams got to worry about that when we come to town. It's be hard for us to, to beat us back to back. So we'll be ready to go. I'm not going to say I feel bad for Bears fans for them to, if they lose and get out of the playoffs. I won't feel bad at all.
Nope. Somebody's got to go. We don't want it to be us.
Yeah, exactly. So I think this year, more than any, if you just get in the dance, then, anything could happen. And I just want to be able to see that. And it doesn't, the weather, you would say, Rams don't worry about. Yeah, Packers and Eagles would be outside, but maybe Seattle. But for the most part, I'm not overly worried about any of that playing a factor in there, because I think that if we go in and play our game, we can win in any of those games. We're set up to play in cold weather or, and then hopefully, Mahogany's back by that playoff time. We can get our running game really going, and I feel really good about that. So
for sure.
All right. We'll see how it plays out. It's coming up quick, man. I get really excited at this, but then I realize that the end of football season's coming right after that. And then I think about, what am I going to do with all my time?
Yeah, right. Don't think about the end.
Yeah, don't want to do that. All right. Grit picks. I'll let you do the review here, Jacob.
All right. Review of our grit picks last week. So Cowboys at Lions. We don't ever pick the result, but we did pick the over under, which was at 54.5. I said I thought we were going to be going over. Jason thought this was going to be one of those games that, kind of surprises you. The longer drives and everything. Jason picked the under. What an idiot.
No, I remember. If you remember why I picked the under, is like I'm trying to catch up to you, so I picked the opposite.
And I was like, you better hope, because then I'm pulling
Yeah.
further away.
Yep, and you did.
So I got that one right. Texans at Chiefs. I think we both had the same idea here, where the Chiefs' back is against the wall. They're a really good team. We both thought they were going to find a way to get that done, and they didn't. At home,
Yeah.
Travis Kelce back-to-back drops, one of them getting a pick. You know, a tough view, and he was just in disbelief. So both got that one wrong. And then you flip over Chargers, Eagles at Chargers. We both had the Chargers winning, which they were able to do. That was the special game this year that they did, for the kids. I don't know if your kids probably are not into that anyway, but it was like a Monsters Incorporated thing.
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't even know if that was on Paramount. I think it was Paramount. I don't know what it was. But they had a special, where they track the players, and there's like the graphic. They had Mike Wazowski and Sully, and the ball was tracking, which was funny because they had that play for the game where it was like they had the interception, then the fumble, and then they turn it back over. And I saw it happen. I was watching on my phone too, but Milo was watching that on the TV. So then I'm watching the TV, like anticipation, like I want to see how they do that with these characters, because the tracking is never on.
Yeah.
And turns out they did not do a good job. Sully just fell down, and that was it. The ball just stayed in place.
Yeah, I saw the replay afterwards because I was wondering how that went down. In one of my leagues, one of the leagues that you and I are together, I had Jalen Hurts. So on one play, I only needed him to score like 6 points for me to win. And I think that knocked me out of the playoffs. I think I might have been in the playoffs had I won that.
Yeah.
Knocked me out of the playoffs in the losers bracket. I'm there with you. And he gets a interception and a fumble on the same play. And then he throws 3 more interceptions on top of that. So
not
very
a good
bad
game for Jalen Hurts.
No, not at all. I had Baker Mayfield and Caleb Williams sitting on my bench, but I thought, I'm going to go with the Eagles. They need this game.
Chargers, great defense. Jalen Hurts not been playing well. I'm going to start him for my fantasy life.
Yeah, well, I thought he'd score Monday Night Football. Wrong choice. All right. So that puts you, Jacob, at 31-18. Puts me all the way in the bottom there, 27-22. I have to catch up 4 games in 4 weeks. Quick. Yeah, I know. Well, we're going to start it right here. All right, Jacob. You and I already know who you picked on this one. Falcons, Bucks. Right now, it is 26-28 with 3:34 left. The Bucks are getting the ball. We already know who picked here. I went with the Bucks, and you did too. The Bucks dropped this, though, man. This is crazy for them.
They just had more riding on it than the Falcons, and they're at home. So yeah, I definitely thought the Bucks were going to win this game, but Kirk Cousins, 314 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. I did not get to see what just happened. So they scored and they went for 2 and didn't get it, but I did not see what happened with that.
So Mayfield threw an interception to give the Atlanta the ball back. They went down, scored pretty quickly, but they did not get the 2-point conversion.
Who's the Falcons kicker now?
I don't know, because Younghoe Koo is not on their team. He had that terrible kick with the Giants.
Yeah, right.
Did you see that where he kicked? Oh my God.
I don't know how he didn't hurt himself really bad.
I know. You got to be, you're fully swinging your leg and you're just like, I don't know how you don't screw up your toe or something with that.
I don't know how a professional kicker ever does that, but
yeah.
Anyway, so we both picked the Bucks here. As it is right now, they're in the lead, but as far as our standings go for this, it's not going to make a difference.
No. Sunday Night Football, you got the Vikings at the Cowboys. They are never going to remove Cowboys from a Sunday Night Football game. I think that Cowboys game was the highest rated game ever on Prime.
Right.
And doesn't surprise me with those two teams. Very rabid fan bases that really, watch, every game. So that doesn't surprise me, but I really would have liked.
And it was a good game.
Yes.
Thursday Night Football, but both teams had a week rest from the Thanksgiving thing. The game went well. Perfect storm for the NFL.
Right. I would have rather them move this game out, move the Lions into the Sunday night game, just because I think it's going to be a better game overall. But Vikings at Cowboys, who are you taking in this one, Jacob?
Well, obviously, the Cowboys' playoff chances took a big hit with the loss last week, but they are not out of it. The Eagles lost again. The Eagles have not looked so good. So the Cowboys holding out hope that they can catch them. The Vikings would be officially eliminated with a loss, I believe. So they're back literally right against the wall. I envision the Vikings defense slowing down the Cowboys, but not enough to win the game. So I'm picking the Cowboys.
Yep, I'm going with the Cowboys too in this one. Vikings 31-0 last week. That was the most shocking score that
Right.
and JJ McCarthy gets a win. They put up points on the board. Maybe he's not the worst quarterback ever picked, like some people want you to believe.
I'll be really, really interested when this season is over to hear the fan base's opinions and to hear where they think they are going forward.
Yep.
Because I just don't know how you put this season on JJ McCarthy and say that he's the reason that this went happen. And like you said, I saw the graphics, like, oh, he's the worst quarterback in the league by a wide margin. And I mean, obviously it's hard to be unbiased because we're Michigan fans, but I'm okay with the Vikings tanking and going 5-8, but I just don't. In my opinion, I don't think that you put all that on JJ McCarthy, especially when he did not play and I think he missed like 4 games, right? I mean,
yeah. Well, and their offensive line is like just you wouldn't know by where the Lions rushed them, but other teams be able to get in there and get some pressure on them. So they, I think it has more to do with that, which is crazy because they spent a lot of money on their offensive line and it just didn't work out for them. All right, Monday Night Football, Dolphins at Steelers. Dolphins been on a run lately. I went ahead and I picked Miami in this game. Steelers still got are Steelers. They're in the AFC South, or AFC North. Are they leading the division right now over the Ravens?
They are, yes,
because they Ravens lost, right? So
right.
So this is, it's still a tight game for that division. So the Steelers do need to win this one, but I'm going to go with Miami in this one. Who do you got, Jacob?
Yeah, Dolphins have won 4 in a row. They've won 5 out of the last 6. The problem, though, is that almost all of these wins were not against great teams. They were against teams like towards the bottom of the league, except for the Bills. But 4 in a row is an impressive streak. I don't think they've been eliminated just yet. They have an outside chance of the playoffs. However, the Steelers won their last game against the Ravens. They're in first place in a tight division. They're at home. They really need the win. I don't know if you saw about TJ Watt. I guess he has some sort of like lung issue or something happened.
Yeah.
So they don't know what's going on with that, about his status for the game. And that would be a huge loss, obviously. But I am picking the Steelers to win. Okay. I usually pick the Dolphins, and I told JJ I'd stop because every time I pick the Dolphins, they lose. And since I stopped picking them, they've won. They won 4 in a row. So I'm going to go with the Steelers on this one. It's also one of those things. Miami, it's going to be colder in Pittsburgh. Miami traditionally, like when they move to the cold weather, just don't always hit very well. So I got the Steelers here.
Yeah, that TJ Watt thing, there isn't a lot of information out about that, but it seems like it might be like an internal doctor issue, like something happened, like similar to the Tyrod Taylor situation.
Oh, really? See, I did not see all the details.
See, the article I read, it was very vague, but it insinuated that there was like a team doctor situation here. So I don't know, what happened. That's just the article I read. I don't know that for a fact, but it would be, if he doesn't play next week, then, that puts the Lions game in doubt too, depending on that. And that, I'll take that advantage. I don't want him to be hurt, but we go into plenty of these games with people on our injury list. I'm okay with taking advantage of it this time.
Yeah. That's terrible if a team, obviously it's terrible either way, but you almost would rather it be something the team doctor did versus them finding some sort of issue with his lungs or, being career threatening or something like that.
Yep.
So with Tyrod Taylor, though, it was a lung thing, right? Wasn't it the same kind of thing? Like it was an injection that went wrong or?
Yeah, the doctor punctured the lung. Like they were giving him some sort of injection and then punctured it. So his lung collapsed. That's like a huge medical issue.
Yeah.
Beyond just missing the football game. But then,
It changed the course of
gets
Tyrod Taylor's career.
It did. It did. Like he does it. I mean, he's never going to be more than, a backup that you could count on for a couple of games. I mean, he's not going to go in there and just win a bunch of games for you, but he gets injured enough on his own that he doesn't need the team doctor doing it for him.
Right. But that, that was when he was lined up for the starting job. The Chargers had like a decent team, or, they had the thing like that could have been his chance to break out and show out. And instead, they're like, we got to start the rookie, this Justin Herbert guy. And obviously that went extremely well for them.
Yep. He got Wally pipped, just go out with an injury and
who's that?
Chargers weren't going to go back. Do you know what that is? Wally Pipp?
I just said, who is that?
Okay. So that's a very old baseball reference, but that's what happened. Wally Pipp was was a player, got injured, and then I can't remember who. Like, it's a pretty famous baseball player, but hold on.
I looked up Wally Pipp, and the first sub search is, what does being Wally Pipped mean? Wally Pipp, a first baseman, played for the Tigers, Yankees, and Reds between 1913 and 1928. Back when Jason used to listen to games on the radio.
I think Lou Gehrig came in for him. That's what it is. Lou Gehrig replaced Wally Pipp, and then so that's what it is.
I see. Yeah.
So
it means you've lost your job or spot in the
lineup, Hall of Famer,
because you temporarily stepped out, often due to a minor issue, and your replacement performed so well they kept the position. And that's what it says. He had a headache, so they started Lou Gehrig in his place, and then that started Lou Gehrig's legendary consecutive game streak. That is some bad luck.
There you go. You learned something today. Wally Pipped, right?
Wally Pipped. Yeah, there we go. I can't say that I'd be using that because you've about aged yourself out of that reference, man. I don't think many people are going to get
That's
that.
way before me, but it just shows you how well versed I am in sports culture and sports.
Shows how
history.
old you are.
Yeah, that's true. All right, man. It's been fun talking football with you. As always, big game coming up. Check out our preview podcast about the Lions. We got Sheriff Joe Baggs on there. Just a fun podcast. It was good. We learned a lot about the Rams, and I implore you to check that out. No movie talk today. Jacob and I are going to talk. We'll talk about that next week. I'm trying to get him to watch Fight Club.
I'll try to watch a movie or two.
Fight Club.
If I watch Fight Club, it'll ruin the 80s thing that we have going on, but I might.
That's
Fight
true.
Club's going to be easier to find, I think. I don't know. I'll see.
It will be. All right, man. All right. For Jacob, I'm Jason. Let's go Lions.